recently... Hi, I'm Ian. This is Danny. And I come from Minnesota, and Danny comes from Pennsylvania. And we currently live right here, but of course our house is in Oregon. So very, very over many plains and mountains from here, and rivers. We recently made an album consisting of traditional ballads that we gathered in Ireland and Scotland and England. And one is from Quebec and one is from Appalachia. So we're particularly excited about playing these old songs, reworked. So tonight you're going to get a lot of songs. We write a lot of songs too, but we're particularly excited about sharing these songs that are traditionals. So we're going to start off with a handful of traditionals. This one's called The Road and the Miles to Dundee, and it comes from the northeast part of Scotland, and it's a bothy ballad. And a bothy, for those who don't know, is a hut that the huts are placed all over very remote places of Scotland, and the history of them was the shepherds would run their sheep out and stay in them overnight because there would be nothing around for dozens and dozens of miles, and they would sleep there. It was shelter for the evening. And many of them still exist and stand, and they're open to the public, and you can go hike and spend the night out there. They're free, and usually there's leftover macaroni from the last group that slept out there, and you never know who you're going to share the night with, because it's like usually 8 miles in, or I did that once, and I was with a buddy, and we got about 8 miles into the Highlands, and then there was another 2 friends that had hiked in, and so we bunked up, the 4 of us, for the night and had a fire in the wood stove in the bothy, and it's good. Anyway, so this is a bothy ballad, so probably was shared among the shepherding community, and it's about 2 strangers that meet on the high road trying to make it to the town of Dundee, coming from a small town called Strathmartin, and neither seem to know how to get there, so they join forces to increase their chances of making it there, I think, in one piece. And they have a wee bit of romance on the high road. And somehow, 150 years later, we're singing this song in Illinois. So it's pretty amazing how it works, isn't it?
Distance I cannot well see, but if you permit me I would go along with you. I'd walk you the road and the miles to Dundee. At once she consented and she gave me a rod. Then a word that I spear what the lassie might be. She'd feel like an angel in feature and form. She walked by my side on the road to Dundee.
some simple token I trust you'll give me. Then with the eyes, the sweet lips of the lassie, and I parted with her on the road to Dundee.
Here's to the lassie, I'll never forget her. And milky young laddie was a listening to me.
Don't you ever be shy to come, my young lassie.
No, it's only to show her the road to Dundee. No, it's only to show her the road to Dundee.
I'll take a little less guitar on the monitors. For some reason, it feels really hot. Thank you. Maybe like 10% less. Maybe a little less. If that's possible. Let's try that. Thanks.
So we're gonna do a song called Silver Dagger. You guys ever heard that one? Yeah? Yeah. Got some Silver Dagger fans. I think I first heard the version Jon Baez singing it. It's kind of a famous version. I was working this one up in Minneapolis. We lived there for about a year and a half. Ian's from there, like he told you. But we live in Oregon. We've been there mostly in Oregon for the last decade and have our 2 children there with us. We raised our kids, birthed our children and raised our kids there. And I decided I wanted to work this one up, and I spent pretty much almost all of my time practicing and coming up with my own version of this one in Minneapolis in my backyard. And it was very wet and very green. And I have those memories of that time living there. I think about this song, and I think about green and wet and lush and beautiful, but a lot of my time was somewhat traumatic, and because of the winters were so intense, and it was so gray, and you guys are like, whatever, softy. But it's funny because it was really hard for me. Even though, like, I love a good winter, but I had a new baby, and it was just all way too much for me. And I got soft living in Oregon, you guys. And but it's funny because it was really hard. It was really hard to live there, although I have a lot of great memories. But when I think about my time there, I do think about this song and how nice it was, which is a funny thing about the memory. You kind of block out the bad memories, even though logically it was hard. You're still those were such good times, right? Yeah, it's pretty strange what the brain does. You wanna do it? So here it is. Don't sing love songs, you wake my mother. She's sleeping near by my side. every link heart to stangle for another maid is left and wrong. So court another handsome lady and hope that she might be your bride. 'Cause I've been warned and I've decided to live alone for all my life. Don't sing love songs, you wake my mother. She's sleeping here up at my side. And in her right hand, silver dagger. She said that I can't be your bride. La, 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 la.
Anyone privy to an album by two Irish musicians, Andy Irvine and Paul Brady, that they released in 1974, I think? Very, very obscure album.
Not that obscure.
It's well known in a niche, I think, Irish community. But if you like Irish music, I highly recommend tracking that album down. They made one album together, Andy Irvine, Paul Brady, with a fiddler named Kevin Burke and another musician, multi-instrumentalist named Donald Lunny. And it is one of our favorite albums ever recorded, and many Irish musicians today agree that that was the pinnacle album of traditional songs, both in arrangement, in instrumental and vocal prowess, in mainly those things. And really inspired by that album particularly. And this is one song. The next one we're going to sing is called The Streets of Derry. Comes from Derry in Northern Ireland. And we learned this song off that album, actually, when most of the songs that we recently recorded, we learned person to person in Ireland and Scotland. But this one we learned from an old recording off that album.
Do you have a favorite band? Not yet. Nice. Our daughter's favorite band is the Beatles.
Isn't that band amazing? How they've persevered. It's like all of her friends, their favorite band is the Beatles. My favorite band was the Beatles growing up. My favorite band is still the Beatles. Seriously. It's amazing. The songs are timeless, clearly. There's something for everyone. Who died?
Oh, all right.
Whoa.
Ooh, fun. That's so good.
Anything like Sgt. Pepper's mainly.
Let it be.
All You Need Is Love. The French.
She loves you. Nice.
There's that opening to All You Need Is Love. There's like the French national. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was.
If you want to talk about obscure stuff and do like Beatles trivia, Ian will beat you all.
No, I won't. I'm sure you know more than the Beatles than I do. But I was reading recently that song, right, All You Need Is Love, was released on when like the whole world did a video day. Like, maybe you know about this. Everyone around, many countries around the world had someone represented their country, and everyone watched like a variety show from all these countries. And England chose the Beatles, right? So they wrote a song for that special moment where people were watching from all over the world. And the opening riff is the French national anthem. Isn't it? It's brilliant. They were. I heard the England was a little pissed. They chose the French national anthem, and they were like, "We need you to make a song that's easy for people that don't speak English to understand." So the words in "All You Need Is Love" is really easy. You know, there's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing. It's like, but the way they put all the words is so witty. Anyways, enough geeking out of the Beatles. Wow, I'm not gonna stop myself.
We're gonna play a non-Beatles song now.
After the morning, there comes an evening, and after evening, another day, and after a false love, there comes a true love, and after a true love, you never say.
My love is fine young, as fair as any the sun shines on. Now to save him, I do not know it, for now he's got a sentence to be hung. As we were marching the streets of Derry, high on he marched up right honorably, being much more like a commanding officer than a man who would die upon the gallows tree.
What keeps my lover so long in coming? Say what detains her so long from me. I saw her coming, all dressed in woollen fine, as she rode sweeter than the wine. Come down from those cruel gallows, for I got your pardon from the Queen. And let them see that they did not hang you, and to crown my love with a bunch of green.
We're going to do an instrumental now. It's called Henny's Got Freckles, in parentheses, in the summertime. Because when we were playing this song, our friend Henny came over, busted himself into our jam, and his face was really close to mine, and we were in the sun, and I had never seen his face in that kind of detail. Like, you know, like all of a sudden you like see someone close up and you're like, I didn't realize you looked like that, actually. And that was that moment. And I was like, Henny, we're playing. And I was like, you have freckles. He's like, yeah, only in the summertime. So I thought it would be a good name, you know, for an instrumental. Because how do you name an instrumental song, right? Instrumental. ... Oh, I'm not even tuned right.
Right, we could just do something like, what would Bach do? Like, prelude in C# minor. Yeah, so Henny, we call him Henny. Most people call him Henry, but his birth name is Michael. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how most things happen, actually. I'm learning that. This is a mandolin. Yes. What would you think it was? Don't say ukulele. Please don't say ukulele. It's a little, just a little guy, isn't it? I used to be in a band where I only played mandolin. God, that was all I had to bring into the venue was this little teeny briefcase. It's perfect. Now I have a. That's not so bad either, but what ends up happening is I waste all of my flight carry-ons with these two things. So this is a personal item. I get away with that. They're like, "Excuse me, sir, you have
personal item.
2 instruments." Like, yeah, this is a personal item. A mandolin. It fits under my feet. So they're always like, and I'm just like, "Thanks." Just keep walking, and I get away with it every time. But oh, totally. The backpack is under my sweater. Snacks and a laptop. Really, that's about it.
Makes me wear the backpack on the front so I look like I'm pregnant. With the coat over.
The things the folk musician does to avoid having to send to gate check, really. You know.
So we're going to do a song called Pretty Polly. And this is a song from our new album. And we're going to do Pretty Polly?
Oh, right. Yes, sure. I thought we were going to do...
Right? It's from the new album. And most of the songs from this album are songs, like Ian said, that we gathered on our travels in the UK and Ireland. And I was looking at the list of songs when we decided we were going to record this album, and I noticed that there wasn't enough banjo represented on the album somehow. And I was not going to have that.
Do you ever have that problem? Not enough banjo? Takes a quirky person, I think.
Yeah, so I needed more banjo, and so I was looking for a song, and around that time I heard the song Pastures of Plenty, which is a Woody Guthrie song. I'm sure you know that one. And it's a good one, and I really was drawn in by the melody. And so I was checking out the history of the song, and I found out that Woody Guthrie took the melody of the song Pretty Polly, and he wrote his own lyrics to it. And so I started digging into the versions of Pretty Polly, and they're very Appalachian banjo heavy, the ones that I was finding, and I liked that a lot. And I was like, I think this might be the one for me. And I was listening to the story of the song, and the story, it's a full-on murder ballad. Like everyone in the song dies. And so the story goes that Willie and Polly get pregnant, and Willie freaks out and takes Polly into the woods and murders her. And so that's the first murder. Actually, two right there. 2 people dead. And so then Willie then goes off to sea, does the like, I'm a man, gonna go off to sea thing. And then Polly gets revenge, and she haunts the ship and drowns everyone on the ship. So everyone on the ship dies. So everyone in the story dies, and I wasn't feeling inspired by that. So I decided to take the dignity of migrant workers story that Woody Guthrie wrote about in his song, Pastures of Plenty, and I infused that into Pretty Polly story. So I took some verses from both and put them together, added a little bit of my own words, and no one dies. No one dies in my story. Some people like that, some people don't like that. Some people want the murder ballads.
Sometimes we get a lot of people booing after she tells that little. People, I guess a lot of people come to our shows expecting
They
murder
do
ballads.
boo. It's true.
Forgot I had to detune my guitar here.
It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands have hold, and my poor feet wives aplenty. Now we're going to do one that we were at a folk conference in Kansas City recently, and they asked us to pick a song out of an archive of old songs. And I picked a song called Nottingham Town. Anyone know that one? Ever heard it? Do you know Bob Dylan's song Masters of War? That's the tune of Nottingham Town. Bob Dylan's kind of notorious for taking the old melodies, maybe stealing them. There's a whole debate about that, but I don't think it's stealing at all. But we took the song Nottingham Town, and it's this woman, Jeannie Ritchie, singing it in Kentucky. And I traced it back to England, and it was written during the British Civil War. And a bunch of art came out of that time period, and they call it the world. They kind of call this, art, or this time period of like things that people created, called the world turned upside down. There's a lot of chaos, and there's woodcuts with men with boots on their hands instead of on their feet, this kind of like absurd stuff. And the lyrics to this song, and many of those songs are, they don't really make any sense. They're very vivid and kind of chaotic. And also found out that Robert Hunter, who was the lyricist, one of the lyricists for the Grateful Dead. Anyone out there a Grateful Dead fan? We got a couple. I'm a big Grateful Dead fan. I think I play music because of the Grateful Dead. I really do. I think that is the reason. Very influenced. Robert Hunter was specifically inspired by this song, Nottingham Town. In Nottingham Town, not a soul look up, not a soul look up, not a soul look down, not a soul look up, not a soul look down. Show me the way to fair Nottingham Town. I rode a black horse, it was called a grey mare, black mane and black tail, grey striped on her back, black mane and black tail, grey striped on her back. And there wasn't a hair in her that was gold black. In Nottingham Town, not a soul look up, not a soul look up, not a soul look down, not a soul look up, not a soul look down. Show me the way to fair Nottingham Town. With the king and the queen and the company more came riding behind and walking before, came a stark naked drummer beating a drum, and with his hands in his bosom come marching along. In Nottingham Town, not a soul look up, not a soul look up, not a soul look down, not a soul look up, not a soul look down. Show me the way to fair Nottingham Town. Who so mad that drove gladness away? 10,000 stood round me, yet I was alone. 10,000 stood round me, yet I was alone. So we're going to do a song that we wrote years back about the fires on the West Coast. I'm sure you've heard about them. Have you experienced the smoke at all? Yeah. Last summer? It blew through. Did it linger? Did you get it from the Canadian fires? Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I was hearing that Minnesota was getting it. It was kind of bad, wasn't it? Yeah.
Wow. It gets so thick sometimes where we live that you can't see more than like 2 blocks. Like you're in a thick fog, and the last 2 summers it comes in and it doesn't leave for 7 weeks. Wow. Think of that. 7 weeks. Yeah. We live just above the valley, but we're very affected. Very affected still. Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that moves it along are strong winds or rain. And neither of those things really happen in the summer in Oregon. So, yeah. That's why that was the impetus for going out to the UK and Ireland this last summer. We made sure we were gone all of July and August, so we didn't have to put up with that. It's depressing. It's unhealthy. It's unsettling. It's just icky. It's weird being a Minnesotan and thinking that the worst part of the season is the summer months out there. Something's wrong about that.
So we wrote this song on a smoky night, and I was thinking about all the people and all the creatures that lost their homes due to the fire. And it wrote a song about a boy named Tommy who starts seeing funny things happen on his farm. We have a lot of sugar beet farmers in where we live in Southern Oregon. And there was a law that was passed to ban the growth of genetically modified sugar beets in our county. And I was thinking about those farmers and wondering what it was like for them to have to change their practices. And so I wove their story into Tommy's fire story. It's called Land Where the Sugar Beets Grow. Oh, the piper came a-barking in, and Mama didn't know, and Papa couldn't tell what I could have caused such fright on that blazing summer night. In the morning, Tommy called out, crying, "Look up at the sky, look up at the sky. Oh, the day is turned to night, but there sure are no stars. The day is turned to night, but there sure are no stars." And Mama called to Papa, crying, "Look up at the sky, look up at the sky. Oh, the sky is filled with birds. They are headed north. The sky is filled with birds. They are headed north." And Papa called to Mama, crying, "Something must be wrong. Something's going wrong. Oh, the birds are headed north, and it's only mid-July. The birds are headed north, and it's only mid-July." Droves and herds that had never been matched, the deer and the lynx fled, the fox and the deer fled from the hills beyond their fields, where the corn and the sugar beets grow. From the hills beyond their fields, where the corn and the sugar beets grow. Ooh. this time old Jenkins came with messages from the west, stories from the south. Oh, the hills are burning down, homes are burning down. The hills are burning down, our homes are burning down. Didn't take long for the smoke to come and the fire take the fields. The fire took the fields. Oh, the corn is burning down, sugar beets are burning down. The corn is burning down, sugar beets are burning down. And Tommy took his mother's hand and watched the fields burn down. He watched his house burn down, the only home he's ever known, the only home he's ever known, the only home he's ever known, the only home he's ever known. And Papa said to his one true love, we better go now, we better go now. There's nothing left to reap on this land we have sown. There's nothing left to reap on this land we have sown. And one last look in Papa's eyes, and he let it all go. He let it all go, and he took his family's hands beyond the land where the sugar beets grow. He took his family's hands beyond the land where the sugar beets grow.
We're gonna sing a song now we call Kings and Queens. And it is the story of our old neighbor Donnie Dolan. And Donnie was raised in a farming community in the eastern side of Kentucky. And when he was our neighbor, he was 92. And that was 7 years ago. Right. And so we've been singing this song and telling a story a lot over the last few months. And I sent him an email this summer, and then I sent him another one. I never heard back. And I've been putting it off, and I did just the other day. I Googled his name, and he has passed as of recently, unfortunately. And he never got to hear this song. And, Donnie was a character. He would, I swear, he rode. Oh, just me up here. Right. That's so right. I always wanted to be a solo musician. He used to. He would cut his grass every single day with a green John Deere riding lawnmower. It was, I think, the best part of his life. And he always had a little dram of whiskey on a table on the corner of the lawn. And I swear that was there, so he had to take 5-minute breaks all the time and take a little nip to I think, prolong his, to extend his daily endeavor. And he always had a fat stogie in his mouth. He's a character. And we'd hang out, but not much. It was always in passing, out to get the mail or over the fence or something. And it wasn't until the night before we moved away that we actually hung out proper. And I listened to him tell me stories about what it was like to grow up in rural United States of America 90-some years ago. And I was fascinated by how things had changed and also how things haven't changed in a strange way. It's like we still carry the same internal conflicts. We just do different things outwardly. So anyways, he always wanted to work and live in a city, and he felt like that was a far-fetched goal because he lived in all he knew was farming, and he had no money. He grew up in a very poor community. And he did get the opportunity, actually, and he spent 2 decades working in Chicago, actually. And while he was there, he realized that the pace, even back then, at which a human is expected to operate at in the city was inappropriate. And he realized that the way that he was raised and where he had come from was perhaps the most valiant way to spend a human life. So he went right back. And, well, not right back. It took about 20 years to realize that he was caught in a rat race. And then he moved out to Oregon for the last couple decades. Something about medical marijuana or something, I think. And yeah, I think so. Anyways, he told me these stories, and one story he told me inspired this song, and he told me, Ian, when I was courting a bonny lassie, I had a go-to first date that I would take the dates out to the same place every time, and it was the airport. And they would watch the little airplanes take off. He'd pack a picnic, they'd lay a blanket in the grass, and they'd watch them take off at the local little airport. And he said it was the classiest date you could ever imagine. And I believe him. And here's Donnie Dolan's story, called Kings and Queens. I was raised in the flatlands on a farm in Kentucky. We didn't have much of that thing called money. Still we went on our way and didn't know any better. For as far as we knew, kings and queens. I used to take all my dates out to the airport. We'd sit in the grass and we'd watch them do their thing. We would wonder what it'd be like to be up there. Nielsen Creek look from the sky. And my daddy would speak to me of the city. He told me they have barns the size of lakes, that all the people living in there are busy, inventing things to make life better. Above me reach the city. Would I ever be lucky enough to get there? Do my part to make life better.
trip. back in the flatlands on a farm in Kentucky. Spend the summer swimming down Nielsen Creek. And in the winter it gets cold and still we feel lucky to be living again as kings and queens.
We're going to do one last song. And this is a song that we learned in County Cork in the south of Ireland in a small town called Ballydahab. And we were there and we found ourselves in a woman's living room recording her singing. And it was about a year after that trip that I was going through the recordings and I was listening to them and I really liked the version of the Galway shawl that this woman did. And I started singing along to the recording to learn it, and I got the idea to perform it that way. So we started performing with the recording, singing the song with the recording of this lady, and then we thought it would be nice also to record it and put it on the album. And I realized that I hadn't asked her for permission yet for that, and I actually couldn't remember her name either. And so I definitely needed to get a hold of her. So I found the email address of a person that lived in that town. And I said, there's this lady who sings songs, and she has brown hair. She's kind of short. Do you know who this could be? And he is like, oh, yeah, that's Kitty O'Mahony, and gave me her address. So I wrote her an 8-page letter asking her, telling her about my family, and asking her if we could use this song. And I was a little nervous, but I got a letter about 2 weeks later from her, and she said, of course, you can use the song however you want. And I was very happy about that. And I told her that I would pay her a little bit of money as a thank you. So when we were over there this summer, I got some euros for her, and we met her. We met up with her in the charity shop, which is like a thrift store. I had heard that she was working, and she had heard we were coming. I don't think she knew when. I didn't call her or anything. So we showed up to the charity shop, and there she was. And we had our 2 kids with us, and it was a little bit awkward moment. And I gave her the wad of money, and I was like, "Thank you, Kitty, for letting us use your song." She's a really shy lady, and she immediately took a 50 out of the wad, and she handed it and said, "The children should have some of this money." And she was a little flustered by me giving her money, because she's like a good Catholic lady, And so anyway, she gave our kids 50, and then all of a sudden our kids had 50 euros in a small town, and they were running around trying to get all the treats from all the shops. They're really excited, finding any sweet thing they could find. But it was really good to see her and to thank her for letting us use her voice. I don't think she realizes how much we play her voice over the speakers. She'd probably be really embarrassed by it, because she was just singing for us in her living room, But she told us she didn't ever perform. These were just songs that she learned growing up. Yeah, so here it is.
Say the same thing again.
Hi, you can just introduce the song.
My next song is The God of Bishop. Here are and more in the county Galway, one pleasant evening in the month of May, I spied a damsel. She was fair and handsome. Her beauty fairly took my breath away. She wore no jewels, no costly diamonds, no paint nor powder, no, none at all. She wore her bonnet with a ribbon on it, and around her shoulder wore the Galway shawl. We kept on walking, she kept on talking, till her father's cottage came into view. Said she, "Come in, sir, and meet my father, and play to please him the foggy dew." And I played the blackbird and the stack of barley, and Ronnie's glory, and the foggy dew. And she sang each note like an Irish linnet, and the tears flowed in her eyes of blue. And it was early, and all in the morning, and I took the road for old Donegal, and said she, "Goodbye, sir." And she cried and kissed me, and then my
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hosting. We have shirts and CDs and vinyl albums as well. Thank you. Have a safe trip home.
If you have any friends in Madison, we're playing there tomorrow. Actually, Stoughton. I realize that's way farther away from here than I thought it was. That's like 3 hours, I think. I thought it'd be like an hour. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
11 and 4.
They got going at a young age. Well, at least for my generation, our generation.